Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new episode, another episode, which will be a new episode of Recycle the Universal Lens, a recycled episode. No, it's not recycled.
No, not recycled.
No, it's not recycled. Of the Universal Lens. I'm John Emilio, as always, flanked by greatness on my left and right.
Flanked. It's makeup. This makeup time, I don't like it. This John has a whole makeup crew here.
Yes, it's in our budget.
He's getting all bougie.
The makeup crew's on our budget. The lighting crew's on our budget. Yes, I have the audio. I fired them a couple of times. It's in our budget.
They keep coming back. Those same guys.
Yeah, no, they keep going back. So anyway, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a nice week. We skipped last week. Yes.
It was. Yeah, you were away.
I was away. I had my journey, and we're back. So
And we're back.
Henry was away, dropping his kid off of school.
Yeah, we're in the throes of moving the kids into college, right? You know, everybody's in there.
Yeah, I kicked mine out.
Tis the season.
Mine goes Friday.
Yeah. And I'll share a story with you that
Please do.
share a story with everybody. So my son I just moved him into Daytona. He goes to Embry-Riddle, and they did something there that's very unique, and I want to share with everybody. I shared it with you guys before, but what's unique about it is one of the many things. It was a week-long event, so we were there for 5 days. I would say Monday to Friday. I'm sorry, Monday to Thursday. For those that matter, for those that care. All right. But the last event that we did was called a convocation. And usually that implies a graduation. And I thought that was very strange. So we went there and they sat the parents on the top, basically overlooking what would be the kids sitting in the lower section. The kids all pile in. These are all incoming freshmen. And I'm wondering, what exactly is this event? I thought for a split second they were going to graduate a few of like maybe the later students, holdovers. Well, they didn't get to graduate, and they were going to do it with this crowd here. That's quite cool. Nothing to do with it. And so, lights go down, and then we hear pomp and circumstance. The whole music. And here comes the whole line, and everybody's in the regalia with the hat and the tassel.
Just like they would on graduation, yeah.
Regalia.
When you're like, the hell's going on here, right? Once it got going, it confirmed my suspicion. My suspicion was that maybe this was a
Mock graduation.
Yeah, not a mock, but like, it's not a graduation. It's an exercise in psychology. Yeah. And I'm going to show you what a graduation can look like, and you're in it, day one. And so this is very psychological, because what happened was, the dean spoke and everything, president, whatever it is, they spoke, and they were saying, look on your chairs, you must have seen a tassel. Well, that's your tassel. It's not the tassel.
It's a tassel, yeah.
But it's a tassel with your grad.
It's what it represents.
To 2028.
Exactly.
Along with a program book or something like that. And they went on and like how, hang this tassel in a place where you can see it every day. Some people like to hang it in the rearview mirror of their car. Some people like to leave it in their rooms. Put it somewhere where you can see it. And as this is going, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is so good. Because I've been doing this for a while. And ironically enough, that son of mine, so I have two sons, that one does a practice that I do, which is we write our goals every day on a notebook we keep on the side. And every day I write these goals. And every day he writes his goal. And the whole purpose of that is to just keep that fresh in your mind. It's a way for you to, when I told you a story, you said it's a North Star.
Yeah, your compass.
And you'd be surprised how many times, if you don't accomplish that goal, you accomplish a whole bunch of other great things on the way, because this kept you the North Star. And I can't believe I'm actually participating in this event. I thought it was fantastic. Hats off. I mean, I don't know if Embry's going to see this, but hats off to Embry-Riddle for
I wonder how long you think they've been doing that.
That's a good question.
I wonder if like an incoming, president or something turned and said, "Oh, let's try this. This might be," because first of all, you got to get all those people coming in on board.
Yeah.
All the teachers coming in with all their gear and whatever, the hat, the
whole deal.
The whole deal.
The
I mean,
whole deal.
you got to get them to come in and do that So I got to be on board with it. I wonder how that occurred. I'm
By the
curious.
way, I'm talking their color guard came out, saluted the flag, national anthem,
The whole bit, huh?
the entire
Basically, how they would run their graduation. Yeah,
the
that's
entire-
fantastic.
I was like,
I've never heard of that before, but
yeah, it's a great idea.
it is a great idea. I'd love to know how they started that. Maybe they'll tell you son one day. Who knows?
amazing. But for those that haven't seen some prior episodes that we've done, we've talked about this topic before, but it's so important and it's so beautiful. And it's really so easy to do because you don't need any particular skill. There's a lot of times people look at it and go, oh, I can't get into, right? We talked about last time, we talked about meditating and how some people,
Mhm.
they have, like we spoke,
Mhm.
we had, of course you have trouble meditating at first and you think it's this foreign thing and you think it's impossible and you think, I can't, no, that's not me. That's for the people that go, okay, there's that. But you mean to tell me you can't put an image, you can't write a sentence that's got to be coming out of your hand. You can't do that. You could do that. Sure. You can certainly do that. And because again, we go back to it, we are programmable beings. You're programming your version of success in that, or your version of whatever you want, right?
Yeah, but it has to be done with intention.
Exactly. Oh, of course.
With
If
intention.
you're doing it like a moron, yeah. You know,
If you're doing it, if you're doing it unconsciously with no awareness of what you're doing,
right.
then it's pointless.
So if I cut a picture of a beautiful body, right? We talked about Rocky before. If I cut a picture of Rocky 4 specifically, you look beautiful, and I put my head on that Rocky picture, and then I paste down the fridge. Every time I go to the fridge, I'm going to think twice. I don't know how close I can get to that Rocky picture if I'm going to go for the cake, if I'm going to go for it. So that's going to keep me in line. But if I go to the fridge and I look at the Rocky, hey, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's another decoration on the fridge.
Yeah.
That's done without intention.
Exactly.
That's no intention there.
Exactly.
So yeah, we're all human. We're gonna slip. We will have that cake. Yes, we will. But let that be less times than the times that you went in there. You made yourself, a omelet, salad, right? You did something.
I think what Embry
Embry-Riddle.
I think what they were trying to do there was really give the kids like you said, right, a North Star, a compass to kind of go, and also maybe change their perception of the next 4 years. Like, by giving them that little bit of a glimpse of this is what it could be like in the end. And right, we've always said looking forward, there's nothing wrong with looking forward and looking backwards a little bit. Looking backwards to learn from past mistakes, looking forward to understanding the goals of the path you want to be on. But it's not about hitting that exact target, but it's more to change their mindset to be like, look, keep your focus here, right? This is what we want you to focus on. This is what we want you to kind of strive for. And here's a reminder of it, the tassel. I thought that was a great idea because that could really change your perception of people.
It's a road you're going down.
Yeah, it could really change your perception of how you look at the next 4 years for a college student.
Great idea.
Right?
And I think that we have some young viewers, right? Meaning they could even be in college or just entering college or have been in college or, anybody in the 16 to 24 range. I want to add a second filter to this idea, which is I've seen, and by the way, when I say I've seen, I have been, and I'm sure I'm going to point to you guys. You've been. We've all been students, and we all started college. Possibly, I was excited about college, but it was also kind of an extension of high school where, I got to do this. So when we were there, I don't know if we knew how to make the most of it, right? We do, as 40-something-year-olds now, we do know how to make the most of it, right? Not when you're that age. So for anybody watching, the second filter I like to add to the North Star, which is, the tassel, the Rocky body, is the other one that we do is you don't have to go to school. You get to go to school. You get the honor, you get the privilege to be freely educated and to actually have a hand in molding your future. Because if you look at it the other way, it's like you're trapped in this prison called...
That's changing your perception.
Right?
That's completely changing your perception. That's all that is. And it's so simple to do, yet most people find it to be like this monumental task that how do I change my perception? How do I see things differently? Comes down to it's a choice. It's a choice to want to say, this is what I want to work at. This is what I want to be. This is how I want to look at life. And there's always going to be those dueling stories in your mind. But where do you put your perception? Where are you going to place that focus, right? Which wolf, we said this out time, which wolf are you going to feed, right? We could say this 20 different ways. I was saying before, what you perceive is what you believe. And it's that, so like, if just listen to those words, not that they rhyme, but what you perceive in life is what you actually believe. And I gave the example, I was telling Anthony about, but I showed you that meme that I showed you where there was a saying that a group of people were listening to. And as they're listening to it, I forgot the words, but it's a short little sentence. And this professor tells them, now listen to this is what they're saying, and I want you to listen to it. He goes, okay, everybody heard the same thing. Everybody's like, yeah. He goes, now keep listening. And they started flashing other sentences that didn't sound like it per se, but maybe played in the same kind of area. And as these people were looking at what was flashing on the screen, what they heard was different than before. Meanwhile, what that recording, it's the same recording. They never change the recording. Yeah. But all of a sudden, what I'm seeing is different. So what I'm hearing becomes different because now I'm actually believing that's what it should say. That's what it says, actually. That's what that recording is, but it wasn't. So the whole theory of how do you see what's actually happening? Yeah. How do you want to, ready? Something you always talk about. How do you want to frame it? So we can use different words, perception, reframe. It's all the same shit. How do you want to frame this event that's happening? So what Embry did is they gave them an opportunity to frame this pre-graduation, what was it called? A convocation as a glimpse to this is what you're working for. This is where we want you to keep that focus. This is the wolf we want you to feed, right? This is the North Star that we want you to keep your eyes on.
Is what we're shooting for.
Yeah. Never mind if you're at the top of the class, in the middle of the class, but it's to work towards that.
Yeah. And end goal.
Yeah. And it gives them a nice, I like that. It gives them a nice kind of, we're not telling you, oh my God, we got to rush to the end. You got to get there. No. This is just, the cookies that put on the path so you stay on that path. I like that, right? So
I love it.
It's a great, like you said before, it's a great exercise in psychology.
The whole time I could feel it, I could smell it, and then I asked you when I talked to you, I was like, how many people in the audience actually knew what was happening?
Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I hope your son takes the time though to really enjoy himself too, because your son's in a difficult program, so one could take too much time just hunkering down. Just take a second to smell the roses.
Yeah,
like the old saying goes, I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you've left them, right?
There is.
Because we never realize the part of life we're in could be awesome, or it is one of the better parts of your life. Who knows, Who knows?
I don't want to block you. We're going to.
So there is a way to know you're in the good old days.
You're in them.
You're in them. So the way is stop.
I was thinking that as I was saying it because I saw the sparks. The screens on both of you. They almost had to go to a wide lens to get the smirks off your face.
No, because because there is the way that you're in the good old days is to take yourself out of your mind and actually be present in what's happening and realize there is no good old days. Now is a good old day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tomorrow's now will be the good old day because that's all you feel.
People don't realize.
No, because we tend to live life in
the fast lane,
right? And I'm victim to it, right? Nostalgia. We call it nostalgia. Mm-hmm. Weren't those the good old days of '60s? Weren't those the good old days of '70s? Weren't those the good old days of '80s? Weren't those the good old days of '90s? And it'll just keep going.
Is it possible that those days
were good old days?
They did enjoy themselves. But now that they're older, it's not that great of days. But you look back and go, "Well, I feel like I had more fun then."
Why isn't it great of days? things are
It could be
just
different
different.
things. Fucking, who knows? You
So
have
that-
cancer for crying
so-
out loud. Who knows? Anything could. You got your right arm chopped off
I get it.
accidentally.
So
There
that
could be a lot of things.
So good or bad is nothing more than an opinion anyway, right? We've said that down plenty of times, right? What I perceive as good, you might perceive as bad. I'm not saying getting a deadly disease is anybody's going to label that as a positive thing in somebody's life, but your mind will always give you a reason to believe why something else is better than what's actually happening right now.
Yeah.
And that'll happen to even a student to can't wait till I graduate. Can't wait till this is over.
Well, we all did that.
And
Every single one of us.
No,
I couldn't wait to get either out of college or couldn't wait to get out of high school.
I feel watch this. I can't wait to start work. I can't wait to have a family. I can't wait to have kids. And then one day you go, I
And
can't
then you're
wait.
there.
And then one day you go, I can't wait to die.
No, then you can't wait. No, there's nothing else. There's nothing else you could wait for.
No, then you.
when you get
Oh,
old,
then it's. I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back.
there's nothing else you can wait for. You're old. You're gonna die.
So that's why I say, take your if you're so caught up in your mind and your mind's taking you everywhere else.
Hmm.
And I think kind of that's what Embry was trying to do. I don't think they want them to look 4 years down the road. They kind of put them. They're using that as the star that this is where, but we want you to focus on
It's the camera.
what you're doing now.
It's the camera.
Here, don't go there.
Well, don't forget, this was an orientation. This was a 4-day orientation. And what they do for those 4 days is impress you. And
It's no, they already got you
And
home.
it's also just so everybody knows this is an amazing school where people like Elon Musk would graduate from.
well, it's an amazing
It's a known aeronautical school, right?
yeah, and they make they show you what the world can be, which is infinite. It's limitless. And they talk about, they were the first school to do a student-led rocket ship that landed on the moon. Students, Embry-Riddle students were the first students to put a rocket on the moon. Right now, that was done last year or earlier this year. And then this past weekend, they had a joint venture with SpaceX
Mhm.
where they put a VR camera on the moon or somewhere on space or whatever. So now people will be able to do live VR with whatever is going. Hey, so
Yeah, they're breaking barriers for sure.
these are all just little things among the many other that the school impresses you with. So after you've gotten all impressed, hey, this tassel just represents that goal, that finish line. Let's get it. Let's work hard. It's not going to be easy. You're all smart. God bless you. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a lot of work here. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
And you're out of there, you're pumped, right?
Yeah.
And then on the way out, they hand you a letter to the parents with the bill.
Parents are crying.
And wait, we just got to give this to the parents. Your kids are all happy to go back to their dorm rooms. And he's walking out. And he's like, oh, I wonder what this letter is. Must be a congratulations, right? And it's like the bill. You're like, oh, boy.
No, they come with the individual Vaseline packets.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to get serious for a second. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, I turned that right around.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Yes.
No, but honestly, no parent left there saying, ugh. Every parent left
Pumped,
there.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
Your
Your kids are good with us. We're going
It was
to
amazing.
teach them. Yeah.
They did an incredible job. And they better for that price.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have given the tassels and everything already.
I like that.
Great.
I like that experiment because it's very important to help frame, especially young kids, to frame their perspective in a certain way to help keep them focused on not the noise of what everything else is around, but what you're actually working towards in your life. Whether it's like your son Alberto at school or his daughter's, his daughter is going to be starting college, her first year of college. This week, she's leaving this weekend. He has an older daughter. I have my sons in college also, whatever their careers are going to be. So to keep them focused on that, and not only that, but
Yes.
to help
Joy. It's an experience.
it's an experience, but to help keep your framing, to help frame what you want to see and how you want to perceive and life that in a more positive way or more beneficial way. I wouldn't say positive, but a beneficial way for the kids. Yeah.
In my opinion. So part of the comedian, I don't know if I mentioned the comedian.
Yeah. You told me about them.
I think I talked about it off camera.
Yeah. You didn't tell me.
But there was a comedian there that, opened up day one. And let me tell you something, that comedian walked the fine line in 2024. You know what I'm talking about.
Good comedians could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an art.
Yeah.
That's
It is.
an art.
It is.
He stood on the line and he's able to please you and you. And he did it in a way so as to say, of course we're different, but we're not that different. So that was the main message. Yes, you're the weird bird. Yep, we're all weird birds. That's what makes us the same. That's what makes us likable. Because ask questions. Don't assume. Ask questions. That's the best way to meet people.
Yeah.
And that was a great icebreaker. What he did there was amazing. He goes, I'm not going over there. That guy has like blue hair. And the blue hair guy's looking at you going, I'm like, that guy's a freaking. Guess what? Probably great guys, both of you. You'll never know it.
But he did comedy also. Like you can tell.
Yeah.
Did he do any comedy?
I'm telling you, not only did he do comedy, it was so well done
Yeah.
that the same guy had you crying from laughing and crying from emotion.
That's
Like the guy did an amazing job. Big shout out to, I think his name was, he's not Andrew Robilota, I think from Seaville, New York, Long Island.
yeah. You're saying from Long Island.
Long Island, Andrew Robilota, which by the way, I'm going to make a point. I'm going to try to reach out and see if maybe he wants to do the show, honestly. Because anybody who wrote that speech got to be very, very, very aware.
Yeah, I think there's a certain level of understanding, because he's not showing any bias by doing that, which is important.
He was throwing out there so many things that today, like, oh, stay away.
It was funny. I was watching an episode of Family Guy last night, and I lifted up my head. They did like a Christianity joke, a Jesus joke, like Jesus was in the shower or something. And I lifted up my head. I laughed and I went, I can't even get angry at that. Like one who believes in Jesus, if you're Christian, you'd be like, oh my God, you can't do that. But it was done in such taste that it wasn't offensive. It was like, that's pretty funny,
Because I think probably
humor to it.
I think probably because, first of all, you've been exposed to a mindfulness approach. So, I mean, when you have this mindfulness approach, you understand like I barely take anything personal now.
Yeah.
It's weird. So it's like if you get upset, it's almost like,
Why do you not take anything personal? Explain it to them. If I call you an asshole right now, you don't take it personal. I did, but there's a reason. But there's a reason.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You wouldn't be offended. We've called each other assholes all the time.
I get it. Because
That's like love language.
why won't you take something personal? I think it's important because people might be like, "What do you mean you don't take it personal?"
because in my opinion, never reading the handbook. One of the key. Let me finish. He's like, what happened? Black.
Yeah, but when you listen, it's sometimes people go fishing to be offended.
No, but
I don't think that's what
Where you're getting at is what I'm going to say right now.
yes, yeah, thank you.
That you sever any connection you have with any feeling, any word, it's severed. That's not me you're talking about.
You don't identify with that.
Right. You're not identified with it.
Yeah.
So there is no pull. What do you?
Yeah, good. I'm glad. So I wanted you to explain that because that's the big part of the show is not just we say things, we actually explain how you don't take it personal.
That keep the table up is, I like that. Right.
Yeah.
I
don't take it personal. And people be like, doesn't that why would you not get upset about that? I'm like,
that's what you think.
The egoic mind has an identity of self. That self, that person, that identity it's created gets offended when it's challenged. But if I am beyond that, like if I'm beyond the thinking mind, if I'm the awareness one that sees it all, understand, could see all this nonsense happening, pure awareness, consciousness can't take anything personal. I know that's a more spiritual answer, but that's basically what it is.
Because it is nothing.
Because it is nothing.
So what?
Yeah. And then what are they? They're words created by who? Language we created.
Everything else you did.
So the only way I can take it personal is if I apply meaning to it and believe that what I'm perceiving as your comment is now a dig at my whatever. Now I can apply that and I give myself permission to be offended by that. It's got, you can't offend me. I could only say I am offended, right? Like you can't, you can say whatever you want about me. I have the choice to get upset or to not believe you.
You're the owner of the food.
Exactly.
So feed the wolf that you want to feed.
Exactly. Thank you. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it was nice that you pointed that.
No, but that comedian was doing a great job.
Yeah.
Robbie Lato. Or Robbie Leto, whatever your last name. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it, but you were fantastic. If you're listening, you're watching. The guy was amazing. And I could totally see why they would hire him to do that, because it's 2024. You know, you're afraid to talk nowadays because, you know, you're going to upset somebody, or
Are you?
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Are you afraid to talk?
you got to watch. You know,
What are you going to say? Are you going to be
I usually,
rude?
you know what? I love joking around.
Well, and sometimes
My jokes can be perceived.
So I was told once by my therapist. My therapist once told me. I forget what we were talking about. I was talking to her years ago, and she goes, always remember, know your audience when you're going to say, like, where you are. I think if you have enough awareness, you won't offend somebody, because you'll never say something that could be perceived as offended if you understand who you're speaking with.
Sure.
Right? So now, does it take a little bit of nuance to be able to get there and toe that line?
I'll
Yes.
give you a nuance.
I'm not going to say no,
I'll give you a nuance.
but you can.
It's 2024. That's my famous say.
2020, by the way, we started 2022. Every episode in 2022.
It's
2023.
So if I just met you, maybe we were in 2003. If I just met you in 2003, I'd be letting jokes go from minute one.
Yes.
2024, I'm not letting jokes.
No, because, dude,
because we
society perception has changed on comments.
complain and all that stuff. So I don't want to offend. I don't want you to complain. So I'm gonna, refrain from the jokes until we get to know you. Until I know that I can joke.
Well, I mean, yeah, I get that. I mean,
But where he came from was a place where I know this is happening, and that there's this
they make that the joke.
there's this
Yeah.
this anti-magnetic field that lets you not want to talk to me and me not want to talk to you. But guess what, guys? It's all in your head. In the real world,
That's so true. I love that.
in the real world, you're just two new guys that don't know anybody else. But because you don't know anybody else, you know what you preconceived about the other person.
Because he perceives the guy with the blue hair as, I'm going to go off script here a little bit,
Whatever.
a freak.
Right.
Because he's different.
And he's thinking the other guy's a freak.
He's thinking the other guy, that guy's a geek or a nerd, whatever word or label you want to put on
This Guido with a shirt, 2 sides,
Oh,
and 3 chains. And 3 chains coming from Jersey. And
and by the way, they're Cuban.
so he's half Italian.
Oh, it's right, Arisa. Yeah.
He's the better half.
He's got half Italian.
But yeah, and so there's these preconceived notions. Stop with all that. And that day is funny, it's ironic, but that day my son played 10 hours of beach volleyball, and all he said to me was, "That's amazing." 10 hours. They went till late. He goes, it was like the entire school got in on it. So they were playing, like we used to do intramurals. So the winner,
Stays on.
new 6 people would come in. There was a crowd watching. Everybody's high five. Yo, I'm leaving. All right, somebody, what's your name? Oh, what's up? Where are you from? Well, Arkansas. All right. He goes, Papi, I must have met 80 people. I don't remember any of them.
That's another genius move by the school of getting people to interact.
Yes.
Where you normally wouldn't. If you all went back to your dorm rooms, nobody's interacting.
And it's the weirdest, in high school you had these cliques. And what clique were you with? And,
Cliques have been around since the days of the caveman. We've just evolved them into different, and with school now and even with social media now, you have other cliques and groups and groups and groups. And we keep separating ourselves more and more and more and more and more. But again, it's all how you look at it. I'm part of everybody's group. I'm not part of one group.
Right.
That's how I see myself.
Right.
Like, I don't,
when now as an older person, you don't just have years, you have wisdom.
I feel old all of a sudden.
You don't just have knowledge.
Why are you assuming he is?
Wisdom, my book.
That wisdom
That is a chapter.
teaches you that. And
Sure.
these kids don't have that wisdom just yet. That's going to take a minute.
You know what? And I think that's a cop out. And I'll tell you why. They don't. So they don't have it. You're right. I think you're 100% right that they don't have it. But as they don't have it because most parents don't have it. And I'm not
I
going.
will take that.
Yes, it's not. I always say you can't, like, remember your example? If you have a child that's born and you don't input anything to that kid, it will not know language. It's not going to wake up and understand how to speak English because it was not taught English. It won't know. There'll be basic survival skills, instincts that might kick in, but that's it. Right. So it's the same thing. I can't blame a child for not being an aware individual,
I can
especially if they have parents that aren't, they're unaware, that have heavy bias, that are very identified with certain things, only roll one way. It's, what do you expect a child to think? Right. So the unaware child,
he's just a byproduct.
yeah. So it's the unaware parent that makes the unaware child, so I don't think when we say, well, they're young, they shouldn't know better. Like I'm going to say my son, not that he is by all means, he's not, I love him to death. He's not perfect. No, he's a kid, but he has developed a certain level of awareness to how things work in life now. He sees life through a lens. I didn't see it at 19. He'll be 20 now. Like I didn't see life through he's seeing it because it's the lens I've been using. And he's learned by watching and hearing me and speaking with me about things, how to look at life completely differently. Now, he's still a meathead teenager, right? Don't get me wrong. And that's part of growing up. You want to enjoy and be a meathead teenager. And I get that.
He's 20 years old.
Yeah, he's 20. Well, he'll be 20. He's not 20 yet. He's a teenager for 3 more weeks. Yeah, 20 and 50.
I was going to say teenager.
We're 30 years apart. But he, and it's because I'd like to say that he's learned that from what I've been doing for the last 3 years, with the podcast, the book, and just sit and having conversations with him. Now, if you don't teach your kids that, they might have an inkling of it, but the mind always comes in and takes over, and it'll,
the mind comes in and takes over anyway, almost.
It's always there. Take over if you really push. But it's always,
like I told you. So this was a special trip that I knew I'm only going to do it once.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I wanted to really be there because I had been there a year before looking at the school just to view it exactly a year. And I was not there. I
remember. Yeah.
I was in La La Land. This time around,
you were able to be present,
very different,
in spite of whatever the noise in your head was.
So I want to see what young men like your son and my son, and even because I have other kids too, it would be nice to see them. But I want to see what comes of a more aware young person as they develop through life.
So in which way? Are they more aware adult? Success wise, I don't know if
I don't know.
Yeah.
Success.
Okay.
Talking about how you handle life. Because
agreed.
Because if I harken back, do you like that word?
I wish I had a button that could play the chime.
I harken back to my days our days, because we've all had these days of quite intense grief. And they're going to be faced with that at some point in their life because
it's inevitable.
That's the program.
You're not living life if you're not faced with
nobody
escapes that.
Nope. How different they can process it and live through it, adjust.
Very different. So take the child who's a very anxious child, who's very attached to their mind, who's brought up by, let's say, a very overbearing mother who's always on top of the kid and never taught the kid to really flourish and understand what their thoughts were, because they were just always told, this is it, this is it, this is it. They were never able to think for themselves or to hear their own thoughts and to be like, I don't like that thought. I don't want to do that. I wanted to think, I lost my train of thought.
The overbearing mother.
That stuck on me.
The overbearing mother. And the thoughts that they don't want to attach to, but they do just out of genetic sequencing. So that's just the way that. But they don't want it. That's not how they want to lead their life.
No, it's not what they want. And those kids, when they grow up, tend to be the ones who suffer more when something happens than the parent, loss of a job, a breakup. Okay, I'm going to raise my hand right here. That was me. Sure. Love my mom. Mom, if you're listening, I don't know if you are, but if you are listening, I love you. You weren't overbearing in a bad way, but right, you cared a lot.
That's right.
But you cared. it's caring so much.
Well, they have their own growing up to do, really.
Yes, it's caring so much that it becomes a hindrance to the child. So when I grew up, I wasn't able to deal with adversity. I didn't know how to deal with adversity. My mind would go into freak out mode, and I believed you got to freak out. Nobody's here to tell me it's going to be okay. What do I fucking do? So what to make your point is you want to teach if you want to empower your children, teach them how to see life through a different lens and teach them how to become aware individuals of their thought patterns, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and be like, okay, you're feeling that. Cool. You're allowed to. But guess what? You don't have to believe it. And show them there's a different, to reframe it. There's a different perspective they could take. They could turn a shitty situation. Okay, somebody passes away. Human nature is we're going to feel grief, right? As human beings, we're going to feel sadness. I don't think somebody's going to die in our family, wake up the next morning and be this, oh, it was fucking great. Listen, how's everybody doing tonight? Bang. No, but you could reframe, right? Because I like that word. Actually, it plays really well. Or you could change your perspective to be like, life doesn't end here. Like, that's not what life's about. Yes, that did happen. And yes, it is tragic. And yes, you want to honor that person and all that beautiful stuff. And the memories are gorgeous and they're there and that's beautiful and all that. But our life continues. Life continues with us, without us. Life continues. And we're here to experience this life. So why wouldn't I want my experience to be a positive one? I'm not going to say happy because you can't be happy in that moment, but I can still be a positive experience, right? So imagine you teach your kids that. And now no matter what happens in life, they're going to feel sadness. They're going to feel the grief. They're going to feel pain, physical and emotional. I'm not. Nobody is. Not like no spiritual teacher, not Jesus himself was void of feeling that. But the way they relate to it, completely different. Now you have a child who could go through life surfing instead of being in the storm, getting battered left and right.
And I'll give you, because you said it to me in text while I was in Florida. I'll give you a little anecdote. So my wife was having a real hard time dropping this son off because my older son, we dropped him off in college as well. She had a hard time there as well, but he was going to college in New Jersey. So he's in Jersey City. He's only an hour away. It's not the end of the world. And my older son is a different breed too. He's a little bit more rough than my younger son, a little more gentle.
He's an old soul.
He's an old soul. He's a little bit more gentle. He's a gentleman. So my wife is really afraid that life is going to trample it.
What any mother might think, yeah, right?
On top of it all.
Yeah, par for the course.
On top of it all. I don't know if she's one of those overbearing mothers, but you could confuse her for one. Just saying. You could confuse her for one.
I mean, how would you
I
know?
never said it. I never said it. I'm just saying. I'm going to do a Trump right here. People say.
You're like this with your hands.
People say. People say.
People say I'm the greatest. I've heard I'm the greatest. I'm probably the greatest.
So that week was very tough for her, but let me tell you.
Of course. It's
When that
understandable.
moment arrives, I saw her break.
When you were leaving, when you had to leave?
And that was tough. And I gotta say, it was tough for me too. And then
Of course.
I didn't cry, I didn't do anything. But then that next morning, everybody was sleeping, and I had my own 2 seconds to myself, and that's when it hit me. And then you had texted me that morning, and literally minutes after, and I gotta admit, I had him. He goes, "Of course, you're human, but we don't sit there on
You don't stay in the loop.
yeah,
It doesn't mean you lack emotions. It just means you don't dwell upon
exactly."
Exactly.
But
Let's see.
the key,
Picking up.
the key word was
Picking up some stuff.
You're not just a pretty face. I keep telling you.
Yeah. That's what I'm hanging my hat on. Yeah. My pretty face.
the key word was loop.
Yeah.
We don't sit there in the loop, or we all sit in the soup. You sit in the soup.
That's true too. The soup.
So there's no reason for the loop. Quite frankly, I reframed it really quickly, which is my boy is doing what he wants.
I taught him what he needs to know up to this point of his life
It's
to be
the-
successful.
It's the most beautiful thing in the world to watch your son. I got this, and he's in a happy place in a place that he's gonna.
You're the only one that said he's
A-okay.
because so I'm going to give you Erica's perspective. She's mourning what she's losing.
Yes.
She's not, and again, nobody's faulting her because my wife did it with John. I told you, like, when I dropped John off the first time, year one, like on my way home, I was driving his car, and like, I said goodbye to him, hugged him, and I was excited to him when I left. I'm like, buddy, have a great time. Enjoy. You need anything? I gave him the whole speech, and he's, yeah, blah, blah, blah. On the way home, like, I don't know why, all of a sudden my mind said, fuck you, highlight reel. And like, it went from 2000.
You're carrying him as a baby.
Yeah, it went from 2004 he was born. No, 2007. Yeah, to now. And it gave me, it was a 17 years at that point of memories. And I mean, just in my car, like, I was nobody. There was nobody in the car with me. And I just, like, crying, right? Like,
Would it have mattered if the car was filled with people?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm teasing, Joe.
I
Lets it flow. So.
do. I probably would have cried, honestly.
Yeah, you probably
I
would have.
probably would have.
That's you.
But and this was 3 years ago, but still, I was already, well on my way. I allowed that shitty feeling to just sit there. Didn't need it to go away. I knew I was missing him. I knew I wanted, part of me was like, oh my God, this is the end of that era.
Right.
Great. That's fine. But I kept my focus, my North Star on he is now living his life. And all of a sudden, not that
You're mourning the loss of that part of you.
yes,
Yeah.
but not that's exactly it. That's why I said, right, we just said it. She's more, but now all of a sudden, I allowed a higher level of thinking to be seen because I didn't keep focusing on, I miss my kid. I wish it was different. I allowed myself to focus on he's living his life. He's doing what he's passionate about. He's growing as an individual.
Why you brought him into the world.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, he's living his life, not my life. And yes, that sadness is still there because human emotion cannot be, you try to push it away. God knows it's going to kick the door down and hit you even harder the next time. Allow it to be there. And it just starts to, instead of stopping, it keeps flowing until it exhausts itself. And all of a sudden, you're not even thinking about that anymore. It dissipates. And now maybe 2 days later, you walk by, you get another flash of memories. And that's going to happen. So Erica
Doesn't feel the same.
it doesn't. Erica, so that, look, even to this time it happened. It happened a little bit. And I wasn't even there this time because I was up in PA and my wife dropped him off at college. I mean, I saw he was home all summer. I saw him. So I couldn't go that day because I had to meet some engineers up for some work that we have to do outside the house. Even when I got home, I had those 5 minutes where I started getting flashes out of nowhere, right? And I felt something, but I allowed it to just kind of be there, and it just kind of floated away. And it was more, he's doing his thing.
It didn't have the same hold on you that
Because I didn't try to push it away, nor did I dive into it, which unfortunately your wife did, or my wife would have done too. I'm sure Steph is going to be a little,
Oh, yeah.
Olivia,
Especially with this one.
especially with it's his second daughter. The first
She's
one
a sensitive heart compared to my older one.
Yeah, the first one was like him.
Yes. Yeah, she's rough around the edges, my older one.
Yeah, she has his sense of humor and everything.
But my middle one's got the emotion, and she's the more sensitive.
Yeah.
That's why you
And they've
feel
all
you're
been
more
home.
protective of them, you know, because she's
That's exactly.
a little bit more like your younger son is the same, you know.
And Juliana's been home now since
Yeah.
freshman year. She tried it. She wanted to come home.
She didn't enjoy
She
staying.
didn't enjoy. Yeah, she I think she was right after COVID, so
Yeah,
it was kind of just fucked up year. Yeah. So I mean, she'll have the same wave of emotions, I'm sure too. It's natural. Now, do you dive the next day, and you dive the next day, and do we post on Facebook now for the next 4 weeks pictures of our kids saying Timmy's gone, Tommy's gone, wishing Timmy the best of luck, and that's fine and dandy, I guess, if that's what you want to do. But you're keeping yourself on the painful path. If you keep doing that, you're not allowing yourself to evolve out of that and be like, well, okay, that part of life has passed, but the rest of life can be beautiful also.
I told my wife something a year ago or two, maybe 2 years ago, and she was talking about the day that she would drop Alberto off. It's going to be around. Imagine, she'd been preparing for this for years. And I told her something that was off the cuff. And I was like, you just gave birth to him. He belongs to the world.
You know how many spiritual teachers I've heard say that same exact thing? It's so true.
And I'm
Like
like,
I said that 2 minutes ago. You actually said the same thing 2 minutes ago.
I said it
That's what we did. We
specifically.
Yeah.
He belongs.
That's why you brought him into the world.
I listened to you.
You did, actually. I'm surprised.
That's like, if you like, everybody likes to think that their kid is a special case, special flower,
They're
special
not.
snowflake,
And they ought to you.
and they are to me.
I always thought my kid was the best. I'm sorry.
So
And they ought to you. Yeah.
if we all feel that way about our respective kids,
Of course.
and we feel that they're going to do something special in the world, well, then let them. let them. Let them.
If you hold them back, you're only doing it for selfish reasons.
Exactly.
The only reason.
If this is your kid and you want him here, you go, is it?
Yeah.
Let them.
They're not our possession. They're not. People go, that's my kid. No. You gave birth to a human being. That's not your. You don't own that person.
I think when people say that, like, that's my kid, it has to do with school stuff where, maybe people are trying to interject different things upon them, and then you think no morals. I think that, that's my kid,
Value system.
Yeah. That's where I take a little bit of offense to things like that.
So you're a kid if he gets into a car accident. That's your.
Oh, yeah, all of a sudden, when you get home from work and your wife goes, do you know what your son did today? He's all of a sudden your son.
But even that's funny, right? And that's all true because in real life, those are the conversations.
Yeah.
But even those words, listen to them. Listen to the language. We don't own them. We don't own. Now, yes, in the legal world and in the litigious,
When shit goes wrong, you will.
litigious world, get the word out. In the litigious world, yes, of course. So it gets an accident. They are our responsibility, but we don't own them. They're not our property. Now, I'm sure if any parent listens, you want to bet that kid's my property? He will do what I say they will do. No, I always told my kids one thing. I always told my wife one thing. I said, I do not want my kids to fear me. I want them to respect me. I go, and that respect has to be earned by me.
The Sunny Black or Sunny Red?
I mean,
Rather be feared or loved.
Bronx Tale.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
And they
Fox Armor?
They said fear because it lasts longer.
Sunny Black was.
Well, see, I don't want to be. It's not fear or love. It's I want my kids to because if they respect me, there's no need to fear me. Like I don't want them. I never wanted my kids to fear dad. I want them to respect dad and use that as an example or as a north star of how to act with other people, how to maintain yourself in society, right? So you don't want to teach your kids to fear you. You want you to teach kids to but that respect comes, and that happens when you don't take ownership of them as a possession, and you allow them to be a seedling that flower, and you just keep watering it, and you give it sunlight, and you
I
water.
like to look at it as you're giving them bumpers.
And maybe
You're giving
give
them
food.
bumpers of the bowling lanes. You're the bumpers.
Oh yeah,
Right? They throw the ball down.
yeah,
You make sure
That's different.
Once in a while, you smack them right into the little bit. Right to the center.
yeah. You're 100% right. I think that's different. We do guide them.
I think we give them the guide, and then from there they branch off from that and make
If they
their
wanna
own
keep-
ways.
We don't stop them from hitting the rails.
No. They have
That's
to.
the difference. Yeah, you want to be as a parent, sure.
You want to make sure they don't
I'm
go
not
into
trying
the
to say
gut.
that, yeah,
That's what we're talking about.
we're not trying to say that we don't protect our children
Yeah.
to a certain level,
Very mother.
or even the possessive father.
Or even.
Dude, in the world that we grew up in sports, how many dads their kid was there?
Oh my God!
Like that's it, right?
I have a friend of
A
mine.
lot of.
We saw a lot of yeah. So
A friend of mine posts things like every.
so do I. Yeah, I know.
There were people mentioned that we dealt with.
In what sense? In what sense?
Especially you, interloper.
Remember that guy? Told me
In what sense? In what sense?
He's just one of those overbearing fathers who micromanaged his child to the point where, as a coach, the coach couldn't coach a child,
Because he was too overbearing.
and he yelled at me once to call me an interloper. And
I'll have to look that up.
I look at Henry and I go, Henry.
I would rather you just call me an asshole.
Looked at me, looked at Henry. I go, I don't, Henry. What the fuck is that?
I'd rather you just call me an asshole next time. I know what that means.
No, but only now. If he's listening, not that he is, he knows who he is.
But you know what? God bless him, because only now do we have the.
Yes.
You know what? I wish we would have coached with awareness, because it would have been a little different.
So I had to have had a certain level of awareness back then, because I never became that guy who went over the top and lost his shit. I walked away from things, but I walked away because I didn't like the situation.
You were never that kind of guy. You were never like
No, I never had that. In me.
No, not
I
really.
always walked around when I was a kid saying, I don't like when I get angry.
Yeah, but he would lose his shit at some point in time. But that point in time was kind of up there, you know.
I always say, I tell people,
My fuse was shorter.
I'm like, I don't like me when I get angry. I didn't know what I was even saying back then. Now I could say I used to I feared my temper as a kid. And now I understand, like, I don't think I have a temper, but when it's there, I could see it coming up. And now it doesn't interfere. I just don't engage anymore. That's the difference, right? Or an angry thought or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think we should.
We talked about that before. Great men can do violence, but are mindful enough to control.
Yeah, I mean, we wish there was a world where we didn't need it, but
That world doesn't exist.
No, unfortunately,
right now it doesn't exist.
For all of time on Earth, that has never happened.
Why? And why is that? Because we are a flawed species.
Yeah.
We are. We don't understand. We don't understand the basic concept of. So, if people were to evolve into a pure state of awareness, like high level state of, if the whole, and I'm talking about utopia, and, Shangri-La, and this is like, if the whole, and this is what a lot of spiritual teachers are trying to enlighten people to get more important. You lose that identity with, I must be the alpha or this or mine or yours, or we are different nations or we are different
Do you think
people.
it's built
It becomes,
at like
we are pure awareness.
meaning genetics wise? Do you think that kind of aggressiveness is built into us because we are hunter gatherers? Let's be honest.
Into our DNA, it's how
We're humans. We've evolved, but we're still hunter gatherers.
Yeah, but that's how
about it.
that's
They just
how-
put it in the groceries.
that's how we evolved. And as the thinking mind, as we evolved, the
Yeah.
thinking mind evolved with us, and it went unchecked, and it's gone unchecked. And now,
Crazy.
yeah,
Now we fight over territories of land. Even burnt out. Like, look at Ukraine. You want that land now?
So the point, the point is, yes,
Right.
this is the way people are right now. Could there be a world? I don't know. I don't know if we burn ourselves out before it happens, but can it? You know how I know it can be? Because I could envision it in a world where people lived as one world, one planet.
Jesus
One
is coming
food,
first.
one-
And he's smacking everybody around. So-
Maybe that's what has to happen.
Prepare yourself.
So, I mean, getting back to what we were saying before, it's the parent holds the important part to bringing that child. It's giving that child the awareness. And like you were saying before with the moms, like Eric had a hard time, letting go. As long as that mother, whether it's Eric or my wife or his wife or anybody, or even a father, because it happens to dads too. So, right? Do you allow yourself to keep going down memory lane? Do you live in that constant, my child, I wish I knew when it was the good old days. And all of a sudden now when there were 3, that was great. When it was 4, those were the great days. And everything always becomes, it's a better time than there is right now. And you never get to appreciate your life that you're living now, which becomes the memory that you cherish in a week, which is,
Later on down the road. Yeah.
isn't that not insane? So what I'm experiencing now, I only appreciate when it becomes a memory in a year.
When you miss it.
Why?
Yeah.
How about, don't worry about Alberto or Olivia or John or Sophia in a year, that they're not going to be where they were now in our lives.
They're meant to change.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but instead, like, they're living their lives. How about looking at it that way, right? Instead. And not living in, I want my kid back. And that's why I think the whole social media thing, unfortunately, where people torture themselves constantly day in and day out by posting and reposting pictures of what was. I know somebody whose mother passed away a year ago. Almost every week, Mom, I miss you. Mom, I miss you. And I'm not trying to be cold-hearted. I get that. But that person tortures themselves by doing that because they stay stuck in this suffering, past the suffering.
way to view it, right?
Yeah.
View it as you're heartless, or
Nah.
quite the opposite. You want the best for that person.
I want that person to free themselves from the suffering that, by the way, does them no good in living their lives anymore. Listen, you can miss somebody.
The fact of the matter is, I think all 3 of us raised good human beings, and we gave them good values to move on in life.
Human beings.
Yeah, they are. That's what we brought to the world. We made a deal with the world. We brought good human beings into it. We gave them good values, and they're all going to go in. They're all going to fuck up for sure. They are all going to screw up. Okay, but that's part of their growing experience. You just have to be there to make sure that you're the bumpers in the bowling lane, that they hit the bumper and not the gutter.
For a certain amount of time.
Sure. No, I think you'll never stop being John's dad. And if John comes to you, we could be 50 years old and you're
Yeah.
70 or 80.
Agreed.
he goes,
Agreed.
Dad, I'm in trouble. You're going to
Agreed.
go. Come home. I will help you.
Agreed.
somehow."
Agreed.
That's
Agreed.
We're the bumpers.
Yes.
We are the bumpers.
But no. But what I'm maybe we're just looking at it two different ways. What I'm trying to say,
Mhm.
looking at it is, you got to at some point pull those
I
bumpers
get
away.
Yeah. You can't always.
No, you can't. But if something does happen, if they do fall off the road, you go and you help and you pull them
I
out of
get
the
what
ditch,
you mean. Yeah. I
right?
get what you mean.
Instead of protecting them from falling in the ditch at that point, at some point you got to fall in the
See,
ditch.
my thing is the gutter is the very bottom and hard to get out of. Hopefully,
it's-
you are that bumper that doesn't let that happen.
It's how it's just how we're looking at it. We're saying the same thing. It's just
And some of these people who do go into the gutter, unfortunately, don't have those bumpers like good parents or a family member or somebody to keep them out of the gutter.
they can or they can't. I mean,
Yeah, it's
Fortunately,
everybody's situation is different, and here's the best part: every person is different. Like some people grew up with the best parents
100%.
and the most incredible situations, and
are they the best parents though?
yeah,
Are they? If
I've
you,
seen
I don't know anybody who's grown up with good values and even decent parents, but good, strong family values that turn out to be gigantic pieces of shit. I personally have seen. I'm sure there are, but usually with those guidelines, it's less likely to happen.
So
So nobody just grows up and knows not to kick somebody's door in and steal their TV. You know what I'm saying? You know rights. You teach your kid rights and wrongs.
I think
I think the value it depends on what your value system is.
I
Also.
was thinking the bulk of it. You're right.
I think when we're talking about a good value system, it could mean many things, but a good value system is based in forgiveness and peace and love and moving forward. And that's,
Just Ten Commandments. Use them as a value.
yeah,
This is why
that is a good guide.
this is why religion is such a good
I agree.
foundational, let's say, thing to have because
Mhm.
it teaches those
Those values, yeah.
and independent of what religion,
Mhm.
really, for the most part, religion teaches that, and every religion has that.
The spirituality. Can you even say the word spirit? Yeah.
Exactly. And every religion has that common thread of
Mhm.
respect for your neighbor, love of
Based
Helping
in peace and
mankind.
forgiveness.
So that's when I was saying before. That's the world I envision. There's a world where we are one, where it is one. Like we are one people. We're not white. We're not black. We're not.
right. That's
We're not Asian. We're not Italian. We're not.
ridiculous.
Oh, that's my heritage. Your heritage is given to you by words that we fucking created. You realize that Italians are Italians because somebody created Italian language.
Yeah, but it's a sport.
We're talking about a part of the.
It's a sport.
Sport.
It's a sport, and it's playfully, it's fun. It's fun. But most people
Deep
don't
down-
think, oh,
Deep
I'm
down,
io sono Italiano. I'm Italian.
at the end of the day,
You.
at the end of the day, we all have the same.
I love
umbilical cord.
all my Italian friends.
That's
You're trying to say that. I love you all.
but that's
And
that
was
was the argument.
Asian. I don't care.
That was the
love you all.
and patriotism.
Yes, I don't identify with it. I love America, but I don't. My identity isn't like red, white, and blue.
You need that U.S. passport though to get home, don't you? You better identify as an American that day.
Actually, I can
When you go to
identify.
customs, they go, where you from? You go, I'm American.
I can identify as dual citizenship.
Oh, it's great. Did you have to in Italy? Do you have to serve in the military?
I think they don't do it anymore, but they used to. Yeah.
Okay, because I know I don't know if I ever told you a story. A guy went back to Turkey. He was in America.
Yeah, you
he's
said
an
that.
army, and they arrested him over there.
My father.
You're going in the military.
My father got arrested when he went back the first time.
Oh, really? Oh,
The
okay.
carabinieri came to our house and said, "Come downtown."
Let's go.
They let him go then eventually
Yeah.
because he was like 50 years old at that point. Like,
Yeah, what are we gonna do with this guy? He's gonna paint,
But
he's gonna
they-
paint the barracks for
they
us.
literally gave him a hard time, even maybe not coming back.
Yeah, they're serious.
Like, yeah, and go through some stuff because he left when he was 16 and went on a merchant marine and never came back until he was like, he didn't go back for like 30 years then because he built his life here. And when he finally went back,
And Italy don't care. Yeah.
Vieni, per favore.
I got the letter. They threatened me.
Did they really?
I was a dual citizen when I was born.
For where?
Were you born in Cuba or you born here?
I was born here, but my parents had bought a flat in Spain. Literally, the minute I was born, they were going to move back to Spain, and had a Spanish citizenship up until all of a sudden I'm turning 18, and my mom keeps getting all these letters like, and if I don't report for duty, for what do you call it?
Even though you lived in the States.
Yes,
It's like draft almost. Yeah.
You have to do military.
Oh, it's not even a draft. I'm sorry. It's like mandatory. Yeah, it's like Israel
Mandatory is
Yeah.
mandatory
for
military
both men and women in Israel.
or I'd be arrested.
Yeah, that was Italy was the same.
So
I don't think it's like that now.
I had
but
to denounce, or I had to,
you got to denounce
Give
the
up
Spanish
your
citizenship.
and I did, and I'm already a Spanish citizen again. So
Then you just wait long enough and
yeah,
reply.
I'm a Spanish citizen again, and so are all my children, and my wife is a resident, so
Okay, good,
she can live there also.
good.
We have a plan B.
Well, now everybody knows that.
That's it. Yeah, well, it's no more Plan B. Hope it wasn't a top secret Plan B.
But anyway,
All right.
so
That was fun.
yeah, no, that was because I hope if anybody did listen, you know, despite the joking around and stuff, they
It was
understood.
fun.
Yeah, they understood the message of the show, which is
Everywhere.
no, we really didn't. It stayed on. So
Perception.
we saw it on perception, and you started with the story from Embry,
Right.
and we kind of went on perception and how you reframe and how you perceive things in life and how what you see and things, blah 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 blah. But it was always about the heart of it stayed where with our children and how we could show them how to perceive life differently. The way Embry showed your son how to look and frame that, you know, that path that they're going to be taking for the next 4 years, with that using that as a North Star. And we just kind of kept parlaying that into different examples, but it always stayed around our kids. Then, yeah, we spoke about moms and dads and how but always, how do you have an aware child? By having an aware parent.
Yeah.
Kids aren't born Zen.
No.
They are, no, actually, they are born Zen. Pure awareness, pure awareness with a blank slate until we get involved. And now we start programming.
Enter it.
So,
That was a good episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do your thing, parents. And if you just drop your kid off to school, it's going to be okay. You will be okay.
You will.
You will just remember that kid is not a car. You don't own that kid. Watch that kid flourish into an adult and live a very valued and meaningful life instead. And
Don't hold them back. Don't be
Yeah.
selfish.
don't make it about you, parents.
Yep.
Don't make it about you, because when we mourn our kids leaving our house, it's because we're mourning a part of us that's leaving.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing. So
Good
we
point.
love you. Peace out. Everybody have a great week, and we'll catch you next time. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.